Hello guys, and welcome back to Raising Reef. So this weekend I took a trip to a few of my local fish stores, and this is the first time I've done this in a really long time. I'm a busy guy. My local fish stores are not that local, they're about 20 miles for the closest one, so it's a bit of a trek to get there and back. So a lot of the stuff I buy for my tank, I do end up buying it online just because I can have it delivered to my house and it'll be here when I need it. But I had a mission yesterday. I wanted to find a bracket for my light unit. At the moment I have it set up like this, where I have an old metal frame that fits to the back of my stand, and that suspends the light above the tank. It does a great job, but it's not very attractive, and for the new tank build I wanted something that looked a little bit more sleek and low profile. So Aquarium's lights, some companies make specific products that are designed to fit these lights. D&D is a company that makes a couple of these different brackets. They do a slimline bracket that looks like this, and I wanted to see if I could have a look at one of these and measure it up to see if it was going to work with my new tank setup. The issue I've got with that is that I'm using an overflow box that has a piece on the front and the back, and it's drilled through the glass. And I've only got about, well, less than an inch of play on the front and about 2 inches on the back. So in order to fit a bracket on, the bracket needs to fit within those dimensions. And if not, I need to figure out a way of making it work around. So I wanted to have a measure up of the slimline bracket, but more so I was interested in the new flex arm bracket that they do that has a smaller profile clamp on it. So I went out to the first fish store and they happened to have one of these slimline brackets on the shelf, and I was able to go take it to the counter and they opened it up for me so I could have a look. After measuring it up, it isn't going to quite work with my setup. The little plastic brackets on the front that clip to the glass, one, they have big old plastic screws that clamp it down and they stick out quite a way. They don't look very attractive, and it wasn't really the look I was going for. Plus the depth of the screw down from the bit that sits on the top of the rim of the tank was too low down for me to be able to clamp it on without it touching the top of the overflow. So it just wasn't going to work for me. However, I continued on to see if I could find what I was looking for, and I popped into another store and had a little look. They had nothing. Went to another store and they didn't have anything either. So what happens when you go to a few live fish stores is that you see things that you might want to buy. Now, I had no intention of buying any livestock for my tank because obviously I'm setting up a new tank. I've probably already got too much stock in this tank as it is, and I'm going to have to be a little bit more picky about what pieces I move over from this tank to the new one in order to add in the pieces that I really want to keep. So I had a little look around the tanks and I happened to notice that they had a particular coral in there that I used to keep a while back. When I had my large tank, I used to have a nice yellow scroll coral in there. I believe that its name is Turbinaria, and I really liked it, and I grew it from a tiny piece right up to a big colony, and it was a beautiful coral. My tail spot Blenny used to live inside it, and you'd see him poking his little head out, and it was a beautiful coral. When I came to break down my tank, I wish I'd taken a little frag of it and kept it so that I could have kept hold of some. But at the time I wasn't looking to set up another tank, and I was going to take a break from the hobby until I was ready to move house and set up a new tank. So that coral got moved on, and as I was selling off all of my big corals from that tank, and I then no longer had a piece. They happened to have one at this shop, and I asked them how much it was. They said it was £30, which I thought was pretty reasonable. It's a fair sized piece. I also noticed something else, that there was another coral attached to it. This is a Postlepora, and fairly small, but another coral nonetheless. Postlepora are a nice coral, they're very fast growing, they're an SPS coral, and I was quite happy to purchase the two of them together for £30. I thought that was quite a good, reasonable price. So I brought the coral home. I floated it in the tank to acclimatise the water temperature in the bag to the same as my tank. I don't go overboard when it comes to Acclimatising corals, I believe that if you can put them directly into good conditions, once you've acclimatised them to the temperature, they will quickly adapt to the situation. As long as what you're putting them into is a stress-free environment with optimal water quality, I don't think you'll suffer many problems. The only time you might get a problem is if you're adding it to a significantly different light spectrum or intensity, and that's going to cause a light shock to the coral and it could result in it bleaching. So it's always a good idea to pop the coral down on the bottom and give it a chance to adjust before you put it in its final position. So that's precisely what I did. So ultimately, I went out to look at some brackets for a light and I bought a coral. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more videos from me. Take it easy guys, and I'll see you in the next video.